Okay, welcome everyone to book club. I don't know why I wear wigs all the time. I feel ridiculous right now in this one though for some reason. Is it the wig? Is it the hat? I can't tell. Probably a combo.
We like it.
Thank you. By the way, Viv, love your hair. You got a cut.
Thank you. Yep. I just had to freshen it up for the summer.
For book club.
Yes,
totally.
Book club specifically.
And Whitney, have you been on since you cut? You had your hair cut last week, right? Yeah.
Last week, so it's a big change, but I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, I love it. I think you guys look so good. Welcome everybody to book club. Thanks for coming. And I see the chat's going crazy. Today we are.
I love your wig.
You guys like the wig? Thank you. I'm feeling like slightly self-conscious, but like not enough to deter me. I had plenty of time to take it off, and I was like, I'm committing to the wig.
It's like we have a guest visiting
Every week.
Yes.
Yeah.
You look very intellectual.
Thank
A
you.
blast from the past. Like an author.
Yes, I was trying to, for book club, I was like, let me find the biggest glasses I can.
You look like a French author.
There you go.
You know The Incredibles, the lady that designs the
Edna
costumes.
Mode.
I have a black wig. Maybe midstream, I'll take a break and I will.
Next week.
Okay, next week. Stay tuned, everybody. I will look. What's her name?
Edna Mode.
Yes, Edna. I need to watch that again. That was great.
Oh my God.
Please no Edna.
Yeah. Please.
I
As
love
long as you
Edna.
talk like her.
She's actually patterned after I forgot one of the famous designers. Anyways.
Yeah.
She's like she was the OG of the big glasses. Okay, well before we get started, I last week I showed some pictures of me and the girls, and for anyone who's here for the first time, because I did see in the chat a few people that were like, it's my first time here, or Lindsey streams. So on Thursdays we have a book club. Don't leave. I know you're thinking you want to click away as soon as I said book club, but it's actually, I really enjoy it. It's a time when we get to just chat, be super real, super raw, and I'm loving the community that we have here. I look forward to it every week, and so yeah, don't leave. Just stick around for book club. These ladies that I am with, these ladies are some of my best, closest friends in the world. They also were my roommates in college, so we go way back.
So we knew you before you were cool.
Wait.
Right? Oh, I mean famous.
Extra cool, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I thought I was always cool.
I was always cool. She was always cool. We knew you.
Always cool.
Well,
We knew you before everyone knew you were cool. How about that?
Before you were famous.
before I
We
was...
thought you were always cool.
Well, you guys were my friends, so if I wasn't cool, then,
We would be in the same.
we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vivian. Okay, hold on. I have some pictures that I wanted to show, so...
Someone just said it's your third. Zane said it's your third alter ego. Your costume or your.
Yes, she is. I like it. We'll have to name her. Can you guys see that on the? Yes, they can. Okay. So, let me point out to you the characters in this. Here's Whitney. Wait, can you guys see it?
Not yet.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay.
On your...
So yeah, this is Whitney. Here's Vivian.
Wait, I can't see it.
Oh, it's on the.
Oh yeah,
not-
sorry. Actually,
We
I
can
can
see it
share
on here.
I can share my screen. Let me do that. Sure.
It's okay. If not, I can go
Oh
on.
my
I got
word.
this.
Let me see.
Here
She
we
is
go.
not a grandma on the
Oh,
computer
yeah.
anymore.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm learning how to Zoom. Wow.
This is just.
Yeah, this is too good. This was once a week there was an 80s night in Salt Lake. We all went to school in Provo, Utah, BYU. And once a week there was 80s night at Area 51, which was like the hot dance club. And we went multiple times a semester. And I believe this was our first time. We would go all out. We'd usually go to the thrift store to get our outfits, right? I remember I got this skirt for sure.
I don't even know where that outfit.
I really hope that we went to.
Is that yours, Lindsay?
Wait! Oh my gosh! I just realized. Wait, we did not go to the thrift store. Vivian, you're definitely wearing my jacket. That was mine.
I'm like, I don't recognize this.
This skirt,
Yes.
that leopard print skirt was mine. I loved that leopard print skirt. So, like, half of these articles of clothing are mine. I think these leggings were mine as well. Like, so yeah, we didn't go to the thrift store. This was just raiding Lindsay's closet. Okay, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing I recognize on my body is my pink shoe.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
I
loved
definitely
80s
got
night.
that shirt at the thrift store though.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, right. Whatever, Whit. That was in your closet.
Yeah, Whitney. Okay, I just had to bring this one back because it was so good. This is me and Janny. We were going stealth mode, and last week we showed this picture. We were talking about how we were trying to sneak through the complex wearing, like, we put these on to be sneaky. They were like shiny black, but later on there's a picture of the hoods that I'll show you. This one brings me so much joy.
Oh, that's so cute.
This is Whitney, do you remember where this is?
Isn't it Paris?
Yeah, that's like,
Oh.
I feel like
You
that
guys
was
look like babies.
Yeah.
we are babies. We're like 23 or something. We're probably 24.
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's insane.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
That's
is this
weird.
on the end?
Well, I guess not quite.
Okay.
No, yeah.
That's
about 10.
McKay, yes.
Okay.
A lot of you guys
There's
might know
McKay.
McKay. McKay's toured with me multiple times. This was my first ever tour. Whitney came. She did merch with us. McKay was the opener. And anyways, it was just the best time. So many good
Aw.
Seriously, and that was so fun to have a day off in Paris.
Yeah, I think that was our first day off on tour. Like, my first day off in a foreign country ever. So we all, like, went into the city. We got, like, croissants. We had, like, French soup. Like, I remember we just did everything that
We
day.
went to the Eiffel Tower. It was freezing, but
Freezing.
it was worth it. It was
Yes.
so pretty, even though it was, like, cloudy and stuff. It was so pretty.
It was. This
Oh.
one. Vivian, you want to tell us what this is?
Yes, this is my wedding dinner, and I was so happy because Whitney lives here, but everyone else flew in, and I was just on cloud nine. All of my best friends at my wedding dinner, and Lindsay actually spoke, and I didn't even give her.
Oh yeah.
I forgot that I had to ask a friend to, like, talk about me or whatever, and my mother-in-law was like, "So who's your friend that's talking?" And I'm like, oh no. So I went over to their table and I was like, "Hey girls, who can actually talk about me?"
And they all pointed. They're like, Lindsay. And
Yep,
I'm
we're
like,
like,
I was like,
and of course Lindsay killed it.
thank you.
Yep.
It was basically the equivalent of, like, the maid of honor speech, you know? I was like,
Yes,
oh my gosh.
yeah.
Like, really quickly, like, going through my mind of, like, memories. It was it's a lot
Yeah,
of
but it
pressure.
was asked if you would have known. It was perfect.
So fun.
Oh,
Yeah, you
Lindsay
did a
and
good job.
Janny, you got to tell quickly the story of when you guys arrived and you had to put your suitcases in the... Like, you guys got ready in the bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
At the
I like
hotel.
vaguely remember that.
I totally
You, like,
forgot
got
that
off
too.
the flight and went straight to the wedding dinner.
And we changed in the public bathroom and did our makeup and we'd curled our
Oh, yeah.
hair.
And people kept coming in and out.
Yeah.
I forgot. I wouldn't have remembered that.
It was like legit a public bathroom. Luckily, it was like a nice place, so it was very clean. But it was just funny, yeah. Like a bunch of guys in suits were all around. Well, not in the bathroom, but I'm just saying it was that kind of an environment.
Yes.
And you had to put your
I
suitcases,
remember-
like, under the table or something.
Oh
yeah.
Our bags are under the table, just to the left of that
Side of us.
picture.
And I remember when we were like doing our hair and the lady's like trying to get in to wash her hands. We're like, oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry.
I forgot
A lot of
about
people
that.
are saying congratulations on getting married. Thank you so much, guys.
Wow, I can't
It was
believe
a
how long ago that was, because now you have.
It's been 2 years. No. What? Wait. Yes.
At least
Yeah, I
two.
had a
Oh,
honeymoon.
even
I had a honeymoon baby, so she's 2 and 3 months. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah, that's
however
right.
long she's been alive.
plus 9 months.
plus 9 months.
Plus
Yeah.
9 months.
Plus
Exactly.
9 months ago, so almost 3
Okay,
years.
right.
So it's coming up on 3 years. Yes,
Oh.
there you go.
Oh my gosh,
Oh.
how fun.
Yeah.
This
That
was
looks like Peter Pan. So
yes.
cute.
Vivian, you do look like a Peter Pan. I'm your Tinkerbell, I guess.
Yeah, and that was like a legit hat of mine. Like I thought that was like a cool hat. Like I didn't have to buy it.
It's
That's so,
cute.
same with this crop vest and this scarf. Like, I wore those all the time. Like, a crop vest up here. Like, that was
Those
actually...
were a thing.
Were they? I don't actually think they were ever in style. Maybe...
I don't know, but that was for what was that for?
I believe
In
we
March?
had a fondue
Patrick's?
St. Patrick's Day party.
Yes, it was St.
So it
Patrick's.
makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
outfits make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I should have said that first. We didn't want to be pinched, okay? So we wore the green.
I think everyone needs to know that Vivian never was our actual room. Well, she was Whitney's for a bit, but she was always there.
Yeah, I was the roommate that wasn't the roommate.
But should have been.
Should have been, because
Yeah.
you were like, I feel like all the memories, all the pictures, you're in like
They're there.
all of them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I was there for the best moments, I would like to think.
She would basically sleep at her place
Yeah.
and then come hang, so.
Exactly.
This is so
good.
funny.
Okay, I remember, I think there's two yes, I got two picks. This is, here's
What?
Janny, Vivian. Obviously, we're dressed as pirates. We made our own, I wish you could see our shirts better. Oh, here's the return of the little vest. Everybody would always wear my clothing whenever we had to dress up as weird things. But we went to the opening night of, like, Pirates of the Caribbean 2, or I think.
Yeah.
So good.
My favorite is she
Such
has
a
a
memory.
necklace
Yeah!
pinned to the front of her shirt.
And there's some
That's
feathers.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to know that's Aaron, who we talk about a lot.
Yeah, we need to have Erin
Yes.
come one of these times. She's hilarious. Oh, here's the
Oh.
extra of... Ah! Look at those hoods! I
We
thought
look so funny.
oh, there's-
Oh goodness.
I'm not sure what we're
A
doing
llama?
here. I just remember it was Llama Palooza.
Yeah.
Where
There's
was
our
That
llama.
green scarf again.
Yeah, there's the green.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't have very many clothes. Oh, and again, a cropped jacket. I apparently
Jacket.
really
Those
loved
were cool.
the crop. So I guess they
And
were-
Hurley board shorts, I love it.
Yeah, these
Yeah.
are like legit boy board shorts too. Like I mean, I'm wearing a wig and a beret. I still have very interesting style, so we can just say that it started
Love it.
back here. Oh my goodness.
Oh, a couple of comments on the thing. Somebody said DIY queens. It was Lindsay that was the DIY queen,
Yeah.
by the way, with all the costumes. And then they said one of the many pirates at the party.
right.
That's clever.
You guys can see I've always loved pirates. And then last, here's a close up of our 80s night. So
Yeah.
good. We are babies, like tiny babies.
Yeah.
Like look
I
at us.
wish the crimped hair like this, because remember how I used to always crimp? I love crimped hair. It should come back.
It should. I mean, but
I bet it will.
I feel
So
like
fun.
today you can get away with almost anything that wasn't stylish like last year. As long as it's a few years old, you can rock it. You know what I mean? Everyone will
Yeah.
give you shade if it's like, oh, that was last year. But if it's, you can draw from anything else is fair game.
It's true.
And then the comments are saying something's never changed or bring it back. Okay, Janny, it's up to you to bring
And I
it back.
gotta pull out my ancient crimper.
Okay, I believe that's it. Stop sharing. We're back. Okay. Well, how's everybody doing before we jump into book club? I know it's been a crazy week for all of us in like very different ways, but thank you for being here, ladies. This would be not a very good book club if I didn't have you guys to like discuss with.
Thank
yeah.
you.
I know, I think all of us are just like, ugh.
It's been a long week.
You guys are
It's
just
been
like,
a long week, for
Just
sure.
deep sighs. Ugh.
yeah.
We had Easter. We had Easter. That was fun.
Easter was fun.
Is that this week? Oh my gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago.
That does feel like a long time ago.
That tells you how our week was.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
Wear a little vest to the book club, says Prism Sterling. If I can dig through and find, question, do you guys still have like anything from college in your wardrobe?
Oh, a ton.
oh, I'm sure I do.
I don't think I do because I dejunked like everything.
Good for you.
Nice.
I
I
like the junk, but then there are certain things that I'm like, I'm sure it'll come back in style.
no,
And
they're not.
I regret dejunking some of it, kind of, but then I don't.
Wait, I'm almost positive the shirt that I wore at that wedding dinner in that picture, I still have it. That was a college shirt.
Yeah, because I wore
Yes.
that shirt. I borrowed it from you at college, so I
Yeah.
know.
So I definitely still like not only have them in my closet, I still wear the things Like, I stole that hat for my mission. Like, what's...
Yep.
I do too. No,
It's
I do too.
You love things because you love them, not because they're in style, right?
Yeah.
That's
they're
true
like-
about Lindsay for sure.
Well, I think for all of us, it's like, yeah, you're like, this is a really unique, cool shirt. Can't find
Yeah.
it again. And then I like wear it sparingly because I know it's like a little grandma. It's old and delicate, you know?
Didn't you get it from like Forever 21?
Yeah,
you know?
I'm pretty sure that. No, I think that was Buckle. I like invested in
Oh.
that shirt. Like every
love
once in a
that.
while in college, like mostly it was Forever 21, but every once in a while I'd go to Buckle, and I believe that was like a. That's probably why I still have it because I'm like.
Yeah,
I
you're like, but
remember-
this was from Buckle.
I splurged at the time. That was a huge splurge.
I still have a bin in my garage of all my Buckle jeans, and I'm just like holding on to one thing. I'm like, you've had 5 kids, so lady, you probably should give them away.
Oh my gosh, I love that you're like, you know, aspirations. We're just gonna put them in there. We're not even gonna
I
try to
know.
put them on for a while.
I'm like, how can my hips go from birthing 5 children to not? One can dream.
Oh, you know what?
Well-
You could turn them into like a cool denim, you know, or like give them to someone to turn into like cool.
Okay, I'll give them to you. You can turn them into a cool
You know how people make like
blanket.
denim blankets, or my mom
Oh,
one year
boy.
made us all denim purses for Christmas. Remember?
Oh.
They were
That's
really
cute.
cute.
That's kind.
Except for Brooks was literally shaped like a butt.
Because it had the jean pocket.
Like, yeah, the rest of them were like, mine was like a square shape, and it had like the random parts of the jean here, the leg here. Brooks was like, she literally used like the butt of the jeans as like the purse, and it like held. We were like, is that my butt? Is that Brooks' butt? Like, I'm not sure. Is it Jennifer's? Because they were made from our jeans. But anyways,
Oh, that's funny.
called it her
Oh,
butt
man.
purse.
Oh, that's funny.
You could seriously start a line of like, if you sold your butt pants as a jean, as a purse, sorry, people would totally buy it. If you sold your jeans as jeans, but you're like, this bag held Lindsay's butt. I bet
Oh
people
my
would
God.
you could auction that thing.
Okay, guys,
Huh.
write in the comments.
Tell
'cause
us.
I'm desperate to
I
pay for
wanna
my
know.
tour somehow. So if you will buy my jeans,
What would we
boy.
call it?
I don't know if I want to see this.
I'm just kidding. You don't
A
have
butt
to write in
purse.
the comments. Please don't write in the comments unless you already did. There's no shame. Someone
Oh,
was
thank
asking
you.
who was Jaguar55 was asking who was your mission president, and Caitlin and I had the same mission president for part of our mission. It was President Searle. And then whose was yours for the second half?
Richard Smith. So I had Richard Searle and Richard Smith.
Oh wow.
You know.
Okay, we got some.
Somebody-
we got some
are you starting
gene
a bid?
takers. Yeah, we've got some
What?
gene takers.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm gonna
We
go
gotta
back.
come up with a punny name for it. Like,
Something better than butt jeans. I just-
yeah, or butt purse.
Yeah.
Butt
yeah.
cheek.
Oh my gosh, a fanny pack!
Nice. Oh my gosh.
That
Analog
would be
Analog
funny.
75.
You win! The new and improved fanny pack. Oh my gosh,
I'm like
that's so good.
uncomfortable.
Oh boy.
Jenny's like, nope.
Oh, inappropriate. Oh no.
Oh,
that's
my
too
gosh.
good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
so that's amazing. I say that's a perfect segue to get into.
We've had a hard week.
You know what? Sometimes you just gotta you can declutter the mind. Also, guys, this is like we don't ever get to hang out, so this is like literally our hangout time too, because we talk on Marco Polo all the time, but that's like sending a message.
Individualized.
You know.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is nice.
it's fun to be live together.
Yes, indeed. I wanted to start book club today by sharing a story that Ryan Simpson wrote in, and I thought it was good because it relates to last week, I believe. And he was talking about the challenge from last week and how he like kind of integrated it, and I thought that was really cool. So in the future, if anyone wants to share how they've taken things from the book and integrated it, I thought that was pretty fun to read. So Ryan Simpson said, "Ahoy again, mateys! This week's challenge was to give grace or the benefit of the doubt to others and define our shame triggers. In our culture of instant gratification and short fuses, I find that just an extra ounce of patience and appreciation leads to showing grace towards others. since last Thursday, I've reminded myself that just that little bit of extra patience in what we would otherwise be a stressful situation makes a world of difference. I encountered some situations this week where I extended some grace towards others and found that extra ounce of kindness goes a long way and left everyone walking away feeling much happier.
That's nice.
I like that, and it's really true.
Love it.
And I will say, I had gotten in such a bad habit of being on my phone in checkout lines, and she used that, and this is slightly different, but it's something we talked about 2 weeks ago, was like not treating people as objects. And one of her examples was like the checkout line in grocery stores or in anywhere. And I thought, wow, that's me. I'm like always on my phone when I'm there. And so I've made a goal ever since then, and it's become a habit to talk to people. And I just want to say one more time, it is so nice to have those little interactions. It literally lifts my spirit, probably more than it does theirs, because I walk away just like smiling with my groceries. And anyways, and I don't get to interact with as many people now, most days. So anyways, I've really enjoyed that challenge.
I actually have a story about that. That happened to me on Monday. We were coming. Sunday, because we were driving to Idaho for Easter with my brother and sister-in-law, and we stopped at a gas station to get a snack. And I thought about that. I was like, I was thinking about daring greatly and everything, and the girl at the cashier, she was super frazzled because a couple people were like, the machine's not working and blah blah blah, and she was really frazzled. She's like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's all good. I was like, I'm not in a hurry, don't worry. And then I was like, oh, I should, try to like talk to her a little bit. And I commented on her nails because they were really cool. They were like black with like a whole bunch of silver like accents. And I love nails. So I was like, I love your nails. Those are so awesome. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. And she started talking to me, and she's like, the reason why they're black is because my brother passed away 2 weeks ago. Aww. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And it just gave me a chance to kind of like empathize and get to know her and talk to her. Just like, it was only a couple minutes, but instead of just being like, thanks, see ya, like we've talked about, we do. It was just really cool to have that little interaction. And anyway, so I'm glad you brought that up because that was fun to share.
Oh, I love that.
Hey.
And it's like she wouldn't have shared if in that moment she wasn't kind of, wanting or needing to talk to somebody, And so you opening the door just allowed her to be like, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything they want to share on that note from like past, or anybody in the comments?
I know for me, there were two situations where, like, I realized, like, one time I was driving along the road, and there's a cute little market near my house, and a guy, like, backed up as I was driving down the road, so it was, like, potentially a dangerous situation, and instantly I was thinking, like, I wanted to, like, jump to, like, what the heck, but I was like, no, he probably just didn't see me. Let's keep going. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not like it wasn't like I was ever going to even engage with the guy, but just like the fact that I thought through, like, yeah, give him grace. It actually just helped me. Like, so I didn't get like upset, and no one likes like that being angry or whatever. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't help anything. So it wasn't like anything that necessarily was an interaction, but it like, oh, that was a better situation than it could have been,
Yeah, it left you without that like agitated feeling,
Yeah.
I actually I thought this week I had a Janny experience. So let me just share with you guys in the chat. Janny is like a magnet for people who need someone. Like literally people will show up at her house, strangers asking like, hey, I need a ride somewhere, or hey, I need, like people like literally, it's like she calls them to her. And so anyways, when I was at the grocery store this week and I was practicing my like, I was like, okay, not treating people like objects, like not only the cashiers, but as I was going through the store, I was just kind of made the mental note, I'm going to make eye contact with people, and if they make, and and smile. And if they smile back, I'll say hello. And I passed this man who was holding this little jar of peanut butter, just standing there, and I smiled at him and said hello. And then he later found me in the store, and he said, would you buy this peanut butter for me? Or he said, you have a few dollars. He's like, I'm a little bit short to buy this peanut butter. And I was like, yes, of course. What else do you need? And anyways, it was just this little moment where I was able to, I was so grateful that I had just reached out, like made myself available in a safe place only by just like saying hi. And I don't remember the last time I've been able to like serve someone in that kind of a capacity. And anyways, I thought to myself, I just had a Janny moment. But, you know, it's amazing these little gifts that I feel like we're all finding through this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being aware, right? That's what's so cool about a lot of things in our lives. It's like, you know, when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you look around and you're like, where the heck did all these cars that are the same as mine come from? Because it just like adds a level of awareness. And I think understanding these tools and techniques to add to your life about how you interact with others, it just creates this level of awareness that allows for opportunities like that. You know, like where you start to be in tune and sensitive to those things, and then it's almost like you said, like the universe kind of presents itself and you have these opportunities to be in a really good place at a good time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg? You know, it's like, is the universe providing the opportunity because you're ready, or are you literally just noticing the opportunities that have always been there? You know, who knows? I think it's probably a combination of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jaguar 55. I haven't even read it yet, but I'm just going to read it out loud because it's a long comment. I was on a hike by myself and I ran into someone I used to work with, and we started talking, and he was having some relationship issues, so we got to talk for over an hour, and we both left feeling better by just saying hi.
Nice.
Love it.
And then Sterlingite Kevin says, we're placed in others' paths to help teach and brighten their days. So cool. Let's see.
So I don't know why this keeps popping into my head, but I'm gonna share it. So this was like a while ago when I still lived in Washington, and I was at the grocery store, and the person in front of me was buying like a big pack of Monsters energy drinks, you know, which I don't drink energy drinks because I have too much energy as it is. But and he was checking out, and he didn't have enough money, and he was like so embarrassed. And he was like a younger guy that, and he just sat there kind of like, what should I do? And I was like, oh, I'll pay for you, you know. And he was just kind of like shocked and was like, oh, thank you so much, and talked about how much it meant to him. But oh my gosh, my daughter's yelling my name out the door. Anyways, but I remember having this thought like cross my. Can you hear her?
It's
Sorry. Anyways, like I choose not to drink energy drinks, and I don't think it's like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but it's just like not something that I drink. And and part of me thought, I'm not going to buy those for him because I don't think they're good for me, so I'm not going to buy them for him, you know? And then I just had the thought like, he's in need. This is important to him. I can help, and I have an opportunity to help him. And so I, you know, obviously went and bought them for him. But I thought a lot of times, just looking back on this, I thought about it quite a bit after that, and just how a lot of times helping people is in a way that they need. We just need to make sure that we're checking ourselves, and like that we're doing it in a way that actually helps them. Like, does that make sense what I'm saying? Like a lot of times we think we have this like savior mentality, like I have this, and so I'm going to help you, which is great when you have abundance that you are able to bless other people. But like when you go into it helping people the way you think they need, rather than taking the time to listen to them and see what their needs are, and then help them, or even ask them like, what do I need to know about you to serve you best? Like what? And then move forward. Not that anything, sorry, I'm not saying this to like say anything that we said was wrong. I just something that came to mind while I was talking or listening.
Yeah. It reminds me of like my dad used to always call it the platinum rule instead of the golden rule. Like the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he would say the platinum rule would be do unto others as they would have done unto them. Because serving somebody for what they need, not what you think they need or what you need, but what they need.
I remember,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember one time I helped a lady. She had a bunch of little kids, and I remember she had just had another baby. She didn't want to have another baby, and I showed up to her house, and it was like, oh man, it was like early in the morning, and she was already, like, she was drunk out of her mind, and I was thinking, oh boy, you know, like, what can I do to help this situation? But later and that was kind of a side note. So that just showed the severity of the situation. Like, okay, how can I be there for her? Later, she was in the hospital for something. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I think I had just had a baby or something. Like, I remember it was like a complex situation for me to be there for her, but I knew that I was a safe space for her. So I like got in my car to like go to the hospital to be there. And I had a drive. It was like probably an hour plus to get to the hospital. And just as I was about to get there, she texted me and told me that it would actually be better and easier for me not to come. And initially I was like really upset, because just like the process of like making sure my situation was good. I think I had to pump like so I could get the baby breast milk or whatever. And then I remember like just being like upset. And then that, Caitlin, that very thing that you just said, am I here for her or I'm here for me? And it hit me that if what would serve her the most would for me to not come, then that's what I'm going to do. And I turned around. And it was such a pivotal moment in my life, because sometimes we get caught up so much in, like you said, the complex of like the helping that we forget the true reason of why we're doing it. It isn't for ourselves. Obviously, we come away more blessed because of doing it. We're the ones that are richly blessed, but because of it. But it is for the other person. And if anybody wants a good movie recommendation, oh, Heaven Bless, what's it called? Others like that. I don't know. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. But it is that situation where this man befriends a homeless man and just learns so much about what true service and helping in the ways that are actually truly helping, versus sometimes we think we always know the best. Anyway, that was kind of a tangent, but
No.
I remember that, you know, is it for me or is it for them, you know?
I really love that. I didn't really think about that at all, like in this, you know, in the context of what we've been talking about. So thanks, Caitlin and Janny. I guess let's dive into chapter 6 from there. I will say, and Janny and I talked about this a little bit, this chapter was very like informative. It wasn't quite as discussion based. So I was trying to think of some good questions, but you know, so we'll just see how this discussion goes. And I'm sure you guys always surprise me. I thought that last week, and then we like talked for like forever. So
I loved this chapter.
Oh, well, please.
I just
talk all you
want
then.
No. I just love how it puts it into context. Like, you know, we've been talking about kind of more of these like ambiguous ideas of like how to change yourself personally, but I'm like, this is the real world. This is in your schools, in the workplace, what you can do. Like, I don't know, that I like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Tangible, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was very like putting like examples. And so for anybody who maybe isn't reading along, we are in chapter 6, which is about leadership, basically. And so I want to dive in by first saying, I don't know, before reading this chapter, did you guys have a slightly different like definition of what maybe a leader would be, or maybe what were some words that you would have used to describe a leader, like before reading this chapter?
Yeah, I think when you first think of leader, I at least think of a position, right? Like, oh, the leader of a company or the leader of, you know. Mm-hmm. But it was really refreshing to read the description here, mm-hmm. which is anybody that's accountable for finding potential in people and processes. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. And I was like, I just love that it, like you said, it's anybody who is good or who is accountable for finding potential in people and processes. Like I have that like all circled. And because I would, I always thought of like adjectives for a leader as being like strong, firm, like, I don't know. Those are the kind of like images that at least came to my mind before. It's not about.
Oh, go ahead, Lynn.
No, you go.
Well, I was just gonna think like we can't do anything like we are so much stronger when we do things together versus when we do it by ourselves. And I don't know if any of you have been around somebody that when you're around them, you feel limitless. Like you feel like they believe in you so strongly that they motivate you to want to be better, to do better, to try harder, to reach your goals. That's what a true leader is. It's someone that brings out your best qualities and your limitless potential, and also helps you on the places that that you need a little buffering, right? Like they kindly guide and direct you. I know that those are the people I admire and try and really strive to be like. And so when I read that, it felt so complete. Like, yes, of course it's somebody who is awesome at finding the soul of somebody and helping bring out their best and their potential, and then also helping them succeed. Because think about if you have a boss that does that, who like truly finds the gifts and talents and the qualities in other people and bring them out, think about how much more successful whatever they're striving to do is going to be when you bring out the very best in other people. It's phenomenal. So I like you was like, this is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Also, I just had a thought, because like you said, what makes a great leader is the ability to like bring out the best in people and like see their gifts and be like, this person is great at that. You are amazing at that. And helping like, and so it made me think of like Dancing with the Stars. I learned on that show that the best pros, the best choreographers, the best partners for any of us, stars to have were the people that were able to quickly evaluate their partner, their partner that didn't know how to dance, and quickly say, she looks good when she does this. She doesn't look good when, she's trying to do that. Like, Mark was amazing at that. He could quickly adapt routines. As I'd start to try to learn something, he'd be like, we're not going to do that because you, without saying it, he's like, because you look like a string bean. But anyways, I always thought that was really cool. And I saw that through the show that the best partnerships were the one where the choreographer pro could see the potential of what their partner shined at.
That's so cool.
Someone wrote in, oh dang it, I didn't write down their name. Oh, I think this is David wrote into the email, or nope, sorry, this is Taryn Christensen. He wrote into the email, I love the definition of a leader Brene shares at the beginning of the chapter. I think it's a wonderful practice of finding potential in people and processes. Everyone has potential. Everyone has good in them. Unfortunately, not everyone chooses to acknowledge it. And I liked that because it's like acknowledging it in other people, or a lot of us choose not to acknowledge it even in ourselves. I think though we may hold ourselves accountable for finding potential in people, and that doesn't necessarily mean they find it in themselves. But we can facilitate it through the definition that Brene used. Anyways, I thought that was a really cool comment from Taryn. Does anybody else have any?
I love.
Yeah.
I just love that her definition of leader pretty much includes everyone. You have, it's inclusive. Everybody will have an opportunity to look at someone and find their potential. Like it's limitless. Everybody can, in any aspect of your life, you're a classmate, you're a friend or whatever, you have the opportunity to find potential in people. And so therefore you have the opportunity to lead and help them.
Yeah.
That's true. I never thought about that.
That is really cool. It makes me think about, because whenever we're supposed to like find our gifts, or like, what are your gifts? What are you good at? I have come to realize, because like a lot of people I've heard say, I don't really have any talents, or I don't really have any leadership qualities or gifts. But as I've gotten like older and matured, my favorite talents are the ones that aren't the obvious one that other people have. That I want the most is like people that just notice things about others, people that are attuned to detail and remember like that kind of stuff. The people that always remember birthdays, like and the good listeners, like those are my favorite talents and my favorite qualities, you know. And so you're right, everybody has something to offer, you know, and or something to learn.
I think when people hear the word talent, they immediately, and I know we've talked about this, think of stage. Like they think of like the things that you can see, like whether it's a sport or it's like
a dancing violinist
or dancing violinist. But who knew that she was an inner Edna? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like people always think of the show talent is what you know it's called. But everyone has something, you know, everyone has something within them, and try to find people and surround yourself by people that help you bring that out. Like that's the other thing is I think so much so often we're not around people that help us shine, like that help us figure out who we are and those special skills and abilities. But when you find that person or those people, like I feel like all of us here like would agree that each of us can look at somebody. Like I could look at each of you ladies and be able to name like 20 things that you're phenomenal at and that you shine at and that that you know that you have that you can offer to the world. And because of that, it's like such a safe place to be able to do that. And so it's like find people that help lead you to that, right? Like find people that bring that out of you. And if you don't have it, start by doing it yourself and doing it for other people. You know, like be the person that helps other people shine. It's so happy. I just wore this shirt. I didn't even think it matters or much. But it says, we rise by lifting others. Like, that's so what we could do, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, I've actually found that I feel like the same with all of you. I feel like I have that vulnerability or that, like, open space because you make me feel like I do have something to offer, right? And I feel like when I think of that type of people, they make me be vulnerable because I feel like they can see the potential in me, that I am not scared of like coming up to them with an idea or telling them about something that I think is great, because I know that it's a safe space because they've made it known that they can see that potential in me. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's really cool that you can be that to someone. You can be that safe space when you let them know that you trust in their skills and in their talents. Like,
yeah, I like that. Not only like looking for people that can do that for you, but looking for ways you can do that for other people.
Others. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, so Renee says that people often feel they are only as good as their ideas. What are some problems with that mindset? Because I know that I have that mindset often, and I have to like literally talk myself out of that mindset because it's so natural, I think, for everybody to have this, I'm only as good as my ideas. I'm only as good as what I just did. So what are the problems with that mindset?
I have that same mindset. Because it doesn't matter. You're awesome because of just because you are. We've talked about that so much. Yeah. That your ideas don't give you any more value or worth. You are because you are. You're just awesome because you are. And the scary thing is if you identify only with you're as good as your ideas, then if you have a bad idea, imagine like, number one, you probably won't put it out there because you'll be too scared. And number two, if it fails, then what does that say about you? You know? So
right. I also think it really ties into like what we were just talking about, that everybody, you know, we have to validate that everybody has gifts. And so like if you are in a group or if you're, you know, in any sort of a collaborative experience, whether it's a family or creating a song or whatever, like life is full of connecting moments, hopefully. And so if you're only as good as your idea, then it's going to be really hard for you to let other people sometimes have the good idea. It's going to be really hard. And an example of this is I've mentioned many times that writing sessions are kind of scary for me. There's multiple people in a room. A lot of times you don't know them and you're trying to write a song that's a hit. And it's a lot of pressure. You know, you want to make sure that you have a valuable place in that room, and that, you know, because I'm like, oh, if I leave and I didn't do anything good, they're gonna think I suck, or they're gonna think I'm a phony, or whatever ridiculous thoughts are going through my head. And so it's so like I get so focused on trying to think of the good ideas that a lot of times I have to like stop myself and be like, listen to the other good ideas. You don't have to come up with every good idea, Lindsey. Like, listen to the other good ideas in the room, and then it allows everybody to shine. And as I've gotten better at this, I've actually started to stress out a lot less in writing sessions, because I don't have to think of every good idea. My worth is being in there, bringing an environment, helping in whatever way I can. Anyways, I just thought that was really interesting, that like, if it's all about you always having the good idea, it's really hard for us to let other people shine.
Yeah, that's a good point. That must be really vulnerable, though, to be in a writing session, honestly. I've never done it, but I feel like it would be, like, very scary.
Singing melodies and hoping that the people say, that's cool.
Yeah.
Instead of, like...
Yeah.
Ugh, that like, makes me want to vomit thinking about it.
Yeah, but, you know, it's like we all have to do that in our own arena, you know, and for me that's just one I've had to get used to, being vulnerable over and over again, and also getting better at validating other people in those rooms, because it's like, if I feel this way, I know they feel this way.
Sure.
Yeah, and like when you are able to listen to their ideas and not feel like you have to come up, you probably get so many ideas from them, so much inspiration from them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you come up with new ideas because of what they said, and you're just able to work well together. I feel like that was how it was when I was a teacher. You know, I would learn so much from other teachers, and instead of feeling like in a group, in a collaboration situation, instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, what I need to contribute, I need to give a good idea, it's like, if I just listened, I was able to get more ideas because of listening and letting other people, like, just like you were saying in your writing sessions. I think that's a huge like light bulb to learn that and realize that. So
Totally.
So in this chapter, thank you, Whitney, for that. Whitney was an amazing teacher, by the way. Her students loved her. I can only imagine that you were like the best teacher ever.
I know.
I wish you were my teacher when I was in high school or junior high?
Middle school, right? Junior high?
8th grade.
Oh,
Junior
I
high.
could have really used you as my teacher in 8th grade. I was so shy and scared in 8th grade. Anyways, you would have helped me feel like a leader.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, so in this chapter, a lot of people that wrote into the email, like almost all of them mentioned this. Does anyone want to kind of talk about the shame termite analogy? Does anyone feel like they could kind of graze over that? I believe it was on page 188. Oh, I don't. But does anybody remember that story? If not,
Oh, like termites in a house.
yeah.
Yeah.
She basically.
Well,
Oh, sorry. Go on, Whitney.
I was just gonna read it.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit, part of it. It says, shame works like termites in a house. It's hidden in the dark behind the walls and constantly eating away at our infrastructure until one day the stairs suddenly crumble. You know, everything is all in the dark, and then all of a sudden it just all comes out and just crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Only then do we realize that it's only a matter of time before the walls come tumbling down.
So I was trying to actually think of the examples, and so and I don't have them specifically, but what are the ways, and like why is shame like termites eating a house? Like, especially, I think she's talking about like in organizations, how shame can do that to like the culture of an organization or a group or a classroom or a friendship group or like anything. So what are some of those little subtle things that are like these tiny termites?
Well, we were talking about this. I have a friend who's in a difficult relationship right now, and it's like the little jabs, you know, the things under your breath, like the, and when you say things to somebody where you're tearing them down, even if it's like a side comment or whatever, if you do that over and over and over again, it just creates discontent and barriers, and it makes people unhappy. And at some point they're going to be like, I can't take this anymore. Like I can't work in this environment. I can't have a boss who's constantly belittling me, even if it's little quiet things here and there. Like over time, it's going to cause, those issues.
I think there's nothing more uncomfortable in life than sitting in a shame trigger. And we talked about this a lot, but when you're truly in shame, it's not like you want to jump and talk to somebody about it. Like it eats at your identity, like who you are, and it feels just awful. So if you have a culture of a company where you have tons of people that are sitting in shame due to the culture of a company, eventually it stops thriving. It truly does, because you have people too afraid to be vulnerable. I mean, it says here, like, signs that shame is permeating the culture is like blaming takes place, gossiping, favoritism, name calling, harassment. Those are all cues that shame has permeated a culture. And having worked in a company where it was like that, you don't have a leader that's bringing out the best, people start tearing each other down to try to feel better about who they are or to rise on the ladder, and it creates nothing but chaos. And think about what thrives in chaos. Nothing thrives in chaos. And yeah, I mean, it's horrible, and it feels horrible, and no one succeeds when you're shaming other people or when you're sitting in shame. No one succeeds.
Yeah, and isn't that interesting that I think the analogy works perfectly for, like you mentioned it so well, that it makes sense not only in a culture or a workspace, like amongst a group, but it also it's so individual. Like the reason it's really like termites is because it's like slowly eating away at individual people, the same way like individual beams of a house are being eaten away at. And, it's like these things that we carry with us. And on page 190, she says the research participants, or half of everybody that she had in this research study, half of the research participants could point to a specific incident where they were told or shown that they weren't good writers, artists, musicians, dancers, or something creative. So
sad.
Like half of them could think of things from like elementary school that like still stuck with them. And no one has to share a story if they don't want to, but I'm curious, do you guys feel like you have like an event from... I do.
Yeah. Well,
does it affect you to this day?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
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 Me too.
I mean, I'm sure we've all worked to, overcome that and recognize it. But in here, she, on page 190, she mentioned some specific things that I'm like, for me, it's good to hear like what they look like, and what it is. So I can be like, oh my gosh, I am doing that, or, whatever, or I could try to avoid things. But it says, when we see shame being used as a management tool, and this is what she says, that means bullying, criticism in front of colleagues, public reprimands, or reward systems that intentionally belittle people. Like, and when you say, have you felt those things? I'm like, oh yeah, I've been, belittled, or I don't know what the right term is for it, but like in front of people, criticize, you're just like, well, that was extra painful. Like it would have been embarrassing when it was one-on-one, but now I'm like, everybody knows, like those things are so hard to overcome because those are things that definitely are not healthy, and they don't help people. They don't lift them up.
I remember like I often think about this, like it is usually a failed relationship that rips somebody down, and it usually takes a relationship to build them back up again, like or someone else. And just kind of back to like the elementary school thing, like, or did you have a situation that like you remember changed who you were in the moment? And she said she referred to them as creative scars. I wrote in my margins, I remember when I was in, I think, 5th grade, we had to take like a standardized test. And I will tell you, I'm a terrible test taker. And this test determined if you split algebra into 2 years or if you did it in 1 year. Okay, so it's like, do you learn it in 2 separate years or you do it in 1 year? And I remember the teacher standing up there and naming the kids who had to take it in 2 years and the kids that had to take it in 1 year. And it wasn't like to be cruel, but I remember when my name was read, I instantly labeled myself as dumb. Literally, 5th grade. I am dumb. And so I thought I was dumb until 9th grade. And in 9th grade, I had a teacher that saw my potential, and we had what was called like the 9th grade project, which is like you spend like a good chunk of your time building it's almost like like you basically build like a community center, like a real life center, and you have like a project manager, an architect, and all these different recreation management that's determined, and then you presented this plan to the city. And my teacher put me in charge of my group, the whole project. And it's interesting because she said, I'm putting you in charge because you're a leader and you're so smart. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm dumb. Like, I literally thought I was dumb. Because of that teacher and putting me in that group, it literally changed my whole life. After that, I started doing all honors classes. I got tons of scholarships to college just from one person. And it was like it was such a simple thing. I had labeled myself as dumb, and it took somebody saying, no, you're not dumb. I see potential in you. That switched everything for me. The reason I mention that is because it wasn't that these people were cruel or harmful or like trying to pull me down, but it just shows how associating something with that or public criticism, whatever, can really hurt and harm somebody.
Yes. The thing I love about your story is that it, like you said, a relationship can either tear you down or it can build you up. And, I often look back at an experience, because I actually had kind of a similar experience where a situation made me feel dumb. And still to this day, I notice I have a knee-jerk reaction to situations where I feel like people don't think I'm smart. Because something that happened in elementary school, and it's something I've been working on for a while, mostly just the awareness of it, so that I don't, it's like understanding the trigger. But also, I remember, this is a story that was actually in my book, but when I was in 1st grade, I wanted to wear a costume from the costume box to school, and my mom let me.
Oh, I love it.
And it was like a Japanese kimono thing. It was before cultural appropriation was a thing. But I wore this little like Japanese kimono and these sparkly red shoes and like gloves on my hands. Like I was just like I am now when I was a kid. And I also wore this dark curly wig. And I went to school, and I remember when I walked in the door, I like spread my hands out and I was like, ta-da! And I think that the reaction from that story is a lot of the reason that I am the way I am today. My teacher just thought she just was like, Lindsay, why didn't we all wear wigs? And she just made me feel like it was so okay to express myself. And I wonder if she had acted differently, if my future might have been different, because it was it was 1st grade, my first time publicly being like, I'm going to put on a show. And I was well received. And I've thought many times on that moment where I'm like, I'm so grateful for Mrs. Fowler and her kindness to me. And so you never know just what showing kindness and acceptance, like Janny's story, can do for someone else to like literally change their life. So anyways,
I'll tell a quick story real quick. I kind of have the same experience. So I don't know if a lot of you know, but I'm from Mexico City. And so my first language is, now the accent is going to come out because now I'm nervous. My first language is Spanish. And so I actually grew up in Mexico till I was 15. And I moved to the States and I started high school, my sophomore year of high school here in the States. And so when I tell this to a lot of people, they always say like, wow, that's like such a hard time to like move to a new country in a different language. And how was like your high school experience? Like, did you have any like bad experiences and stuff? And it was actually very lucky because in middle school back in Mexico, I didn't have like the best like I wasn't bullied or anything like that, but I was kind of like more on like the nerdy side, and I wanted to like get good grades, and I was very like naive. I wasn't part of like the cool, the cool little group of girls. But so I kind of just always felt like I was confident, but like never like part of like the cool people, right? And so I remember thinking like, oh, I wonder what it's going to be like. I was super excited just to move to the US. But what could have been a very like, wow, like that was really hard, was very, very smooth. And it was one of my best experiences because I moved and it was a very small Christian high school. And everyone there, I was the only Hispanic person. So all of a sudden they just thought that it was so cool that I was from Mexico City. So I remember going to orientation and everyone was just super welcoming. Everyone was like, wow, you're from Mexico City. That's so awesome. And everyone just was so, so nice that I was able to I felt confident. I felt welcomed. And what could have been really hard for me to learn English, I picked it up right away because I wasn't scared of it and because I knew that they would be patient with me. And I had the best experience. I was able to keep my grades up, and just because of how welcoming everyone was. And so now when I tell people, they're always like, wow, that's such a hard like thing to do when you're 15, but it's not when you have the right people that surround you, So
Yeah.
I always think it's so crazy that when we met you, you hadn't been speaking English that long.
I know.
I know.
like
And I'm
crazy.
sure I had a thicker accent because it just keeps getting better sometimes.
One of my favorite stories
Yeah,
was
ciao.
when we were roommates, and you were late for a meeting one
Oh, yeah.
morning,
Mhm.
and you were like, I'm so sorry I was late. My alarm clock didn't go on. And everybody was like, you mean your alarm clock didn't go off? You're like, no, it didn't go on.
Yeah, like it was off. That's why I was late.
That's amazing.
I
There were
love
so
it.
many things like that. And I remember thinking, yeah, like, why do we say our alarm clock? I guess because it goes off like a bomb, you know?
Yes, yeah.
It's just funny how things, you're like, oh my gosh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep, things like that still happen every day. So I'm just thankful for friends like you that deal with
And you
it.
would like try to pick up slang. That was my favorite thing.
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
try to pick up things that we would say that is like considered slang. Is this right? You would say. I can't think of any examples, but I remember just laughing.
Yeah.
And you would
Oh,
say,
so
you would say it in a tone that I'm like, it doesn't sound that cool.
That's not how it works.
Oh,
Mm.
but yeah, that is crazy that you hadn't been speaking English that long when we met you. Like,
I know. Thank you for all the patience.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We
Well,
loved it.
I love like all the variety of these stories just shows that like the power you can have in all aspects of life. Like, someone learning English, someone being confident in their clothes or what they're wearing. And, there's so many opportunities for us to lift people and help them, grow if we're only willing to like give them space and also like, let them be vulnerable, give them space for that, but also to just, how hard is it to like tell somebody like, oh, you're doing a good job, or like take time to help them learn rather than, belittle. I mean, anger is the easy, cheap, what does she say? Like, I can't remember what she had on her.
Something like chicken poop or something.
Yeah, it's cheap and chicken poop. Like it's easy. Anger is always the reaction, like if something's bugging you or it's annoying, it could have been harder to when you were first moved here, like, probably took you a little bit longer to talk to people or whatever. And if people wanted to get frustrated with you because they didn't have the time or whatever it was, like it really would have changed things for you. But I'm glad that it was a positive experience for you.
Yes, me too. I'm thankful for it.
So good. I love all those stories, and also it was fun to flip it. Like, I don't know, seeing not only what bad people can do, what hard things can happen, but how we can all help. I love that. On page 191, does someone want to read? We learned shame in our families, like that, first few sentences.
I'll read it. We learn shame in our families of origin, and many people grow up believing that it's an effective and efficient way to manage people, run a classroom, and parent. For that reason, shaming someone who's using shame is not helpful, but doing nothing is equally dangerous, not only for the people who are targets of the shaming, but also for the entire organization.
Yes, thank you. And I love the sentence, for that reason, shaming someone who's using shame is not helpful. Why is that? Why is it never helpful?
It's like, what is that? Feeding fire with fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't build other people up by tearing them down. So even if they're the ones tearing down, what good would what good would it do to turn around and tear them down?
Right. And I had an experience once where I was it was in the comment section of a post I made where I expressed an opinion. Super dangerous to do. Isn't that kind of sad that it's really dangerous to express an opinion? Like, you have to worry about cancel culture. And but I remember the comments exploded, and I was like, oh no, I've just started, like people were fighting in the comments, and and really heated, aggressive comments. And I remember, thankfully, I had the presence of mind in that moment to remember the appropriate way to not shame other people, or and I remember responding in a way where you get to validate how they feel, because everybody just wants to be validated. And when people are throwing shame, it's usually because they're craving validation for their own feelings. And so just saying that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way. And, I'm so sorry that you went through that, or that you've experienced, just getting on it was amazing to see the hatefulness in the comment section just go away. And I've not always been wise enough to respond that way, but thankfully in that moment, and it made all the difference in the world not to just be aggressive back and be like, how could you think that way? Or, I don't know. It just, and I feel like that's kind of the gut reaction that all of us have a lot of times, especially in the last year. There have been so many heated topics, and instead of just listening and saying I hadn't thought of it that way, maybe that's not how I see it, but you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, usually people respond to shame by fight, flight, or freeze when they're experiencing it, because it's a survival. You immediately go into survival mode. So it's so when you experience a stress trigger, identifying what the trigger is and then how you respond to it is really helpful, because then it can get you out of the emotional side of your brain to the logical side of your brain, so you can respond like you did in a state of mind where it became discontent, it created less contention instead of more, because again, they're experiencing fight, flight, or freeze too.
Exactly.
And so it's if you have two people that are experiencing survival techniques, it's not helpful. But if you can get them back into the non-survival mode and into the logical mode, then you can actually have an opportunity for influence and just validation and connection.
Absolutely. And for anyone, there's many ways you can get back to the logical side of your brain, but one that helps me if I get into that fight, flight, or whatever mode you were talking about, freeze, I breathe in and I count the breaths, because it takes you from an emotional space to the logical space, because you have to count. And so just breathing in for 5 seconds, holding it for 5 seconds, breathing out for 5 seconds. And this works for me, it works a lot whether I'm just super nervous or emotional about scared to go on stage and perform, or if I'm about to respond to a comment, or whatever gets me in that state of whew. For me, breathing techniques really help, because they take me out of this emotion, and suddenly I have to think about counting and my breath, and it puts me into the logical part of my brain, just like Janny was saying, and it allows me to act in a way that's not emotionally driven.
Reactive, yeah.
Yes.
My little girl does that. She goes 1, 2, 3,
I love that.
4, 5.
Which daughter?
Abigail.
Oh my gosh, I love Abigail.
I actually just found a little video on my phone. It was hilarious, to her cousin who was having an upset day on Kid Messengers, and this is what she said. This is what I do. 1.
Aww.
2. But yeah, there's so many good breathing techniques. There's so many good mindfulness activities that can get you from one side of your brain to the other, and it's good to have a go-to. Like Lindsay's is the 5 and hold. That's such a good one. It's a really good. Like I like to do the 5 senses when I'm in a space. Which
explain that.
It's like, what do I feel? I feel my feet are on the ground. I feel my clothes on my body. What do I smell? You know, I go through all my 5 senses because it grounds you, which makes you to be fully present, which gives you, again, from that emotional side to your logical side. I really like that one. But yeah, having a go-to is so helpful, especially when you're in a situation where your gut reaction, because when we're feeling shame, we have it's literally fight, flight, or freeze. And a lot of the time, what most people do is retract and hide. Like that's really the most common, or fight, which is like snark back at somebody. And so having a go-to where you train your brain to go there first before responding is a great way to avoid really negative experiences in your life. Because again, think about how often when you have a shame trigger or something takes place where you do something that you regret later. Number one, we all do that, and you can always go back and apologize and make amends where amends are needed. But 2, to try to train your brain to think before it responds is a really good thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I have a 2-year-old, and that's what I'm like trying to help her with, like obviously like tantrums, and it's like trying to like get her to her logical space. And isn't it funny that we're like so old and we're still trying to figure it out?
Totally.
You know?
That's why we need to be patient with our kids.
Yes.
It's a lifelong pursuit.
Yeah, they have a lot of years left until their brains are fully developed. Our brains have closed, so it's time. No, we're always learning and growing. But yeah,
it's just a little harder. No, that's so cool. And anybody else have any techniques or any like thoughts that you have about that?
I don't have any techniques, but I thought this was hilarious. Hal_C_U dead said, I ate 4 packets of toaster strudel frosting before doing my duet. That's how they do.
I like that. I will apply.
Okay, we'll go with that. No, just kidding. But that was funny.
Everybody's got their thing. I bet he counted them. He's like, 1, 2.
I counted
slowly.
them.
Slowly inhale the frosting, and then breathe.
Someone said box breathing here, which is really good.
Yes.
Is that what Lindsay was talking about? Like just breathing in for 4 seconds or 5 seconds and then breathing out? Is that box breathing?
Yeah, what's box breathing?
It's like there's 4 sides to a box. It's what I was describing, kind of like you breathe in for like a certain amount, hold your breath for a certain amount, like breathe in for 5, hold for 5, breathe out for 5, then hold your breath out for 5. You know, so it's just like.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
Navy SEALs do it too.
Yes, I just learned that literally last night. That's crazy.
That's cool.
Thank you, Hal. See you dead.
I this week had a couple of things happen with my Instagram store, my thirst thing, that were like really shame triggering. Like I had a guy make a comment, kind of the same thing you were talking about, Lindsay. Just like, comments are hard.
They are.
Because it's not like a person. Anyways, but he got on my thing and said, you're using the word vintage a lot. Did you know that vintage actually means this many years, blah, blah, which actually isn't true. And so I was like, and I looked at his profile and he works with cars. So maybe it's different in the car world. I don't really know. I don't deal with vintage stuff with cars. But anyways, and I was like so upset because then he went on a couple of my posts and was like, this isn't vintage. This isn't vintage. And I was just like, what is he doing? Like, I'm not out here to like lie to people. I'm trying to be honest in everything I do. And anyways, but I like literally had to like put my phone down and like breathe and take some time away to like ponder and think about it before I responded to him. And I thought about like, should I just erase it or should I respond or what should I do? And I mean, I don't know that I did the best thing, but I went and erased some of the stuff he like just said, this isn't vintage. And then I responded to his post and said, thank you for sharing your opinion. This is, it's good to know that some people expect that and that's what they're looking for. And but in my shop, this is the definition I've decided to adopt. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to clarify for anybody who was wondering, and so I just left it at that. And I figured, and part of the reason I did it was selfish too, because I'm like, if I don't respond or erase it, I'm worried he's going to come at me more, which I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. But then I was like, you know what, maybe other people do think that, and I don't want people to think that I'm trying to lie to them, so I'm going to leave it here so other people can see it. And then the next day I had my first big mistake that I made where I accidentally shipped something to the wrong place. Because the program I use pre-populates it, it tries to guess what you're writing, when you put in an address.
Oh, yeah.
And I always double check, and I don't know what happened. And somehow I sent it to the same address, but in a different state. And I realized it after it was too late. Random person in Texas is going to be getting a box full of antiques that they're going to love, I'm sure. But I was so embarrassed, and I was having a panic attack because I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And anyways, Benson, my husband, came in and was like, you just need to calm down and breathe. It's not the end of the world. And I just was I have to use that same tactic that I used for the other guys. I need to breathe and think about it and talk to them. And I was so grateful that the person that I made the mistake to was so kind and had so much grace and allowed me to apologize. And they were oh, that's okay. We all make mistakes. And obviously I made it up to her. But at the same time, I'm oh my gosh, I can be the person on both sides of the situation. One who's hey, you're doing this wrong, or, oh, you made a mistake. Or I can be the one who's you made a mistake. That's okay. I can have a good attitude about it. And anyways, I just feel it was I was on both sides of the situation. Oh, I'm not ever going to tell someone they're doing something wrong most of the time. But it just was nice to have that perspective.
Right. Because we do find ourselves on both sides at one time or another of pretty much everything in life.
That's why empathy and grace is so crucial, because when you can see it from their perspective, then it's oh man, I would hate to be imagine if that woman was probably thinking oh, I bet if she was looking at it through the eyes of empathy, she's thinking, I bet this lady feels so bad, the work that if I respond negatively, all that's going to do is compound the negative. And so just having that empathy and grace. But I will say it is really hard to do when the person doesn't feel that way and they're not nice and they're really negative, and it's you feel so bad and they're just so horrible and awful. The first thing you then want to do is attack them because it's so uncomfortable and horrible. So it is really hard.
Well, and I think that's how it just becomes a spiral, a downward spiral, because someone shames someone else, and so your automatic reaction is then to throw it back at them because you're so embarrassed or humiliated or it triggered you. And so I think it's sometimes you can't stop their spiral, but you can stop your own if you do those tools.
On 195, the blame game, it says blame is simply the discharging of pain and discomfort onto somebody else, rather than, and it's the blame, the fault is floating in the air and you're just pushing it to someone else, that visual hits me, because I'm so it has to land somewhere and you just deal with it. But if it's just bouncing all around, it's just creating more problems and damage as it bounces around.
Well, I actually underlined from that same page 195 how from blame comes shame, then hurt, denial, anger, and retaliation. It's so sad. It's the war is downward spiral,
I love how it says if blame is driving, shame is riding shotgun. And it is so true. I thought about this a lot. If someone is doing that blame game with you and there's a lot of blame, because there's a difference, and this is something that I had to learn, because there's a difference between holding somebody accountable and blaming somebody. Because a lot of times people don't understand the difference. And so it's so they don't separate the two. Like, it is okay to hold somebody accountable. You don't need to shame them, but blame is different. But if blame is driving, shame is riding shotgun, it's interesting. So if you're ever being blamed or attacked at something, and you can look at it that from the perspective of the person blaming is probably sitting in shame. For me, it's really, it allows me to look at it through the lens of empathy versus taking it personal or also shaming myself. But it's taken practice to identify that. But it's almost like once you kind of know what the true feeling and emotion that they're experiencing is, it is kind of easier to make it not personal and about you, you know?
Absolutely. It's a good point, that you can express empathy in that way. And it's also like, what does blame do? Like, does it help the situation? It does absolutely nothing to help the situation. It only is something that, like, it's trying to discharge the pain and discomfort from us and just, like, deflect it onto somebody else. But it doesn't help the situation. It just makes us feel worse. And then
And the other person worse.
And the other person worse. And I found that, as I, because I'm a boss in some sense of the word, I guess. Like, on tour.
Oh, lots of those. You're total boss.
Yeah, like I have people that work with me and under me and all that good stuff. And I've had to be really careful not to find myself in ever blaming someone, ever making them feel less than because of a mistake. Because like you said, it's fine holding people accountable, but to, like, blame. And as I've gotten good at, like, catching these things of blaming culture, in myself, I've also gotten really, like, it's like a simultaneous process. It's helped me also highlight the good in other people by learning how to not highlight the bad. You know what I'm saying? It helps me realize the importance of, like, calling out, like, wow, that was Alex's idea. Everybody, when someone compliments something, oh, that was actually, like, their idea, or they made that, instead of just trying to be like, yes, this is all my vision. I did all of this, But so I think it's cool that it has, for me personally, worked both ways as I've tried to hone the skill of not having blame culture as a part of, like, my tours and that stuff.
I saw you practice this really well one time, actually, when Lindsey filmed part of her, oh my gosh, winter, what did you call it? Your Christmas.
Home for the holidays.
I was like, Christmas, winter, home for the holidays. Okay, we know people. Home for the holidays, one of the numbers. Songs.
Yeah.
Numbers. Wow, I do not know this lingo. Okay, one of the numbers in my neighborhood that I grew up in with my neighbors, and so I got to go watch her. And they did part at one house, and then they moved to a house just around not even far, just across the street. And sorry, maybe that was a secret. I mean, they were miles apart. It's fine. Anyways, but in the process of moving the decor and stuff from one to the other, somebody, I watched it kind of happen, broke a very expensive instrument. Like,
not
that
my
was
violin,
actually
but it was
not her violin. Yeah, but it was kind of used as a prop. And I saw that happen, and I was like, okay, well, that just happened, And Lindsey came out, and I could see her, talking to people. And then she came over, and I was like, oh, let's get the gossip. I'm like, what happened? And you're like, you never said names. You never pointed at people. You just said, oh, it was an accident, and this is what happened. And, they made it work, and they fixed it, and they moved on. But I was thinking about it just now, if you had, been how dare you? I can't believe, could you imagine moving on and filming with that person? It would have been really, really hard to do. And you still were able to get the job done. And anyways, if you guys look close, next time you watch it next year.
We had to basically glue the base back together. And, there's tape on it, I think, just to get through the shoot. So we're like, look, we can't all of a sudden not have a base, because it totally broke.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes. Well, thank you for sharing that story. And and honestly, that is something that I don't think I maybe would have done when I first started, because my mind might have been, I've really practiced the skill of trying to not blame and not have that as a part, because you realize, culture lasts, and my tour culture, my crew culture, like that's gonna follow me. And so it's only because I feel like it's something I've actually really worked at that made it so, like, you know what, it doesn't matter who did it, it happened. And it was a mistake.
And I think, Lindsay, and just everyone, that's like such a good example of like that's a really good example in a company culture. And then think about like your family culture. Like, do we create safe enough spaces in our cultures, whatever they are, like our groups and organizations that we're a part of, our families, our friends, for mistakes, like, and for not doing things maybe perfectly or whatever? Do we create, again, that safe space? We know, like, because I don't know, I just think it's so important, because I've been in both situations where there has been a safe space. And always when there is a safe space, people learn and they grow and they develop from it. But when it's not, they disengage and they don't learn and they don't grow, you know? So I just think it's such an interesting thing to evaluate. Like that, I don't know, the safe space.
Yeah.
Like, you create a safe space in your tour. So I'm sure, though that person was probably like devastated and was thinking, oh my gosh, but it was not the end of the world. Obviously it's not ideal, but it was okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, it creates an opportunity for people to step up to a challenge rather than shrink in fear. You know, like that's kind of what this whole chapter is about. Like, if you want people to be willing to dare greatly and try new things and come up with those ideas that don't just like, you don't try something and it works perfectly the first time. You don't get those big grand ideas the first try. You know, it's try 100, try 1,000, or maybe even, you know, like it's down the road. And so if you create a safe space, like you said, Jenny, for people to show up and try and fail those 99 times so that 100th time can be exactly what you all need or the world needs or whatever it is. That's just what we need. That's what this whole chapter is about. Just creating, I mean, are we going to talk about the feedback? I don't know if we're there yet, but
yes, I also want to leave a read real quick before we move on. The quote on 194. Does anyone want to read that? It's, "For me, teaching is about love." It's like right in the middle of the page.
oh yeah.
Somebody
I
want to
have
read
it.
that?
I have it.
Oh.
Go ahead, Viv. I talk
Okay.
too much.
For me, teaching is about love. It is not about transferring information, but rather creating an atmosphere of mystery and imagination and discovery. When I begin to lose myself because of some unresolved pain or fears, or the overpowering feelings of shame, then I no longer teach. I deliver information, and I think I become irrelevant then.
I just loved that quote. Just saying that teaching or being a leader, you could replace the word teaching with being a leader, is all about love. You know, relationships, they're all about love. It's not about like just getting things done. It's not about transferring info. I just thought that was really cool. And there was a story that I think all of us probably got to hear. Did anyone, does anyone think it's relevant to share the rabbit effect story with this?
yes.
Yeah, Caitlin, do you want to share the story? Or
So cool.
Yeah. I feel bad. I don't remember whose talk it was, but
I don't either.
there's a study that they did, and I can't even tell you what the name of the study was. I'm sure I could find it and share it later. But that where they were testing, like, pretty much fattening up these, yeah, the cholesterol of these bunny rabbits by like feeding them a lot, and then seeing their overall health, checking that, and there was this weird outlier that kept happening for this group of bunnies where they would be like significantly healthier than the other bunnies, even though everything was supposedly exactly the same, that the food they were getting, the lack of or more exercise or whatever it was. And as they looked closer, they found that one of the research assistants or researchers, I don't know what her position was, but that was there to feed the bunnies. Oh, Gary E. Stevenson, thank you, was the one who told this story, was doing it where she couldn't help herself, but just like be so sweet and love on the bunnies. I just was thinking about like her just, oh, you're the cutest little bunny. Yes, you are, you know, like, and just, are you hungry? I love that. Anyways, I want to snuggle the bunnies. But anyways, the bunnies that she consistently fed were significantly healthier. And they even redid the whole study to see if it was just like a fluke. And sure enough, those bunnies that she worked with were significantly healthier. And I just think how cool. It literally, all the difference was her love and affection. Affection, physical, they could feel her love.
I thought that was such a cool story. I don't know, because I think so often we just think of our leadership capabilities as like what we say, what we do, what we know. But like, honestly, like, have you ever known somebody that literally you just feel like good around them, and it's not based on what they say? It like literally is an intangible feeling of love. And so anyways, I think that's something that we can all exercise no matter like where we're at. And it's like scientifically proven, and there's been like books written about it. It's called the rabbit effect. So anyways, I thought that was
so cool.
So cool.
It's so funny because I remember like there are certain, and I think all of us here can think of people like this, that they're people that make you feel like $1 million. Like when you're around them and you're like, oh my gosh, and you think they're so exceptional because they make you feel so exceptional. And I had a few people like this where I remember thinking like, I must be pretty special if someone that incredible thinks I'm so incredible. And it's funny because as I got older, I started realizing the reason these people are so incredible is because they made everyone feel that incredible. Like it was so funny to me because it was just like this hit realization, like it's because of this unconditional love that they offer people and provide for them. And like it's like it instantly makes you want to do better and be better. And it was a really funny realization, like, no, they actually treat everybody that way. So I can do that because they're freaking awesome and make everyone feel that way. But I just think to me, that's the ultimate attribute to Yang is to see people through that lens. And when we do, it's I don't know, I feel like you've made it then. Like when you can look at somebody and just feel just this tangible love for everyone, I can only imagine what life would feel like when you're in that place,
Somebody says,
oh, go on.
Someone says that's what Lindsay does.
Oh,
so
I love it.
You do.
Thank you.
You should do some shout outs now.
Oh, I should. Okay, let's give some love to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, we're going to talk about some, oh dear, I just moved the chat. Oh, I'm so sorry. Where did it go? Oh, well, we're going to I'll find out.
I see
I'll find out later. Okay.
Ella Mac.
So, okay.
I'll find that later.
One of those people too that just the first person that came to mind and you're talking about this is Gabi.
I thought this exact same thing. I was like, that was Gabi.
Yep.
And I
100%. Yep.
I will never forget at his it was more of a memorial service than a funeral. It was like a celebration of life. Gabi's funeral was like everyone was just getting up and telling stories about him. People were laughing, people were crying. It was just so beautiful. And I remember like almost everyone that got up talked about him and even said my best friend Gabi. And I was like, wait a second, he's my best friend, but he's their best friend too. Oh, he was really my best friend, let's be honest. But I just thought, how cool is that this entire room of people thought that he was their best friend. And, I don't know, he had such a gift for making people feel incredible, like you're saying.
Yep.
He did.
Even if you only met him one time.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to make you guys hopefully feel good. I'm going to say some names. Okay, A Dark Side of the Sun, subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much. Thank you, Akira Prime 1. Thank you, Anonymous Gifter. Ooh, that's actually... Actually, that's just an anonymous gifter. Thank you for gifting a sub. That's so kind. I told you, I'm like Anchorman. If it's on the screen, I'll read it. So be careful. Annie VC, Oaks Music UK, Peppo 57535, Ethan PD, thank you so much for your subscriptions. It's Baby Wise, thank you for your subscription. Hamster 66, that is a cool name. Zax 67, Crackus cheered 1,000 biddies. Thank you so much. Raven cheered 500 biddies. Nana's Nonsense is back. Cheered 300 biddies. Margot Sheeran cheered 100 biddies. It's Baby Wise 100 biddies. MK Freak 300 biddies. Okay, don't worry guys, I'm getting there. Thrill 73, thank you for your subscription. Piotr Nike Rasputin cheered 100 biddies. Then we got some gifting from Anonymous again. Baka Evie Angakueko subscribed. Emmy Star cheered. Thank you so much. Trumpet Trace subscribed for 1 month. Thank you so much. Colleague 243 gifted 3 subscribers. MK Freak cheered 200 biddies. L Mac subscribed. Nana's Nonsense cheered 200 biddies. Thank you, Nana. And
Nana's back.
USAF Bioman gave out 5 subscriptions. Thank you.
Woo!
You guys are rock stars. I found the chat. I found it on my
Yeah.
screen.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was like, wait, I want to see what you guys are saying. Okay, let me just make it big again.
Lindsay, somebody wants to know who designed the graphics for your streams. They are so cool.
Ooh, Real Bear Media. He sometimes he's come into the chat before, but yeah, Real Bear Media. He actually streams on Twitch as well. Lindsay Fishman, you can put a link to his stuff in there if you want, because Lindsay Fishman is actually she helped design it too. So Lancy Fish, when you see her, there she is, Lancy Fish. Yeah, it's Real Bear Media, and he is the best. Mark Eshelman is his name.
Yeah, she's working extra hard today. I keep seeing her having to delete stuff.
Oh. Thanks, Lindsay. Everybody, cheer
Yay!
for Lindsay
Protect-
in the chat. Everybody, put some clap hands or something.
Protecting our eyes. Or our hearts, whatever.
Amazing. Okay, all right. Let's keep going here. Where were we? Do you guys want to read? Should we go through some of the ways that giving feedback? I lost my place. I got so excited.
Yeah, I think giving the feedback part was. I don't know.
that was really
I thought it was good.
Okay, so let's see. On page. Okay,
197.
let's start with 198. Actually, can someone read? Right off the bat. Can someone read that paragraph through
Right off the bat.
through the quotation?
Oh, there's a quotation.
Or like read it from the beginning and go through the
Oh.
quotation.
Oh, okay. Right off the bat, I believe that feedback thrives in cultures where the goal is not getting comfortable with hard conversations, but normalizing discomfort. Thank you. I read that. I was like, circle, circle, circle. Thank you. Normalizing discomfort. It's okay to feel awkward. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to say things that are taboo. I taught sex ed to 8th graders. So
Yes. The most awkward situation. Yeah. Talk about awkward.
I like
I
imagining
was just
myself.
like, thank you.
Oh, that's amazing. I love the enthusiasm, Whitney. It's so good. Yes, I have that circled as well. Normalizing discomfort. And I remember that was one of the great lessons I feel like I learned from hair hanging was I asked my coach that taught me after the first lesson, I was like, it gets better, right? Like the pain gets better. And she goes, no, but you will get used to the pain. You'll start to understand it. And you will also understand that it's not going to, that you can do it. And that it's not going to break your neck. And that it's, you know, she's like, you will know because you'll understand it. And it kind of made me, like, in such a physical way, understand that, like, yeah, life isn't about not having pain. It's about learning to understand that you can get through it, that you've done it before. It's learning that it is okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked on 199, she talks about like how in her classes as a teacher, she'd be like, if we're not uncomfortable, then we're not learning, she's not doing something right. But the second paragraph towards the bottom, it says, the big challenge for leaders is getting our heads and hearts around the fact that we need to cultivate the courage to be uncomfortable and to teach the people around us how to accept discomfort as part of growth. Like, it's
So true.
part of growth. You have to be uncomfortable. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I also, it's so true. And someone, I think in the emails, I believe it was Taryn Christensen again. I think he talked about like weightlifting. Like he goes weightlifting, and if you're not uncomfortable, like you are wasting your time. Like, and also I like the quote on page 198. She says, "We believe growth and learning are uncomfortable, so it's going to happen here. You're going to feel that way. We want you to know that it's normal." And it's expectation here, or it's an expectation here, sorry. And so this is something that she says, or this teacher would say to their class, that this is a normal thing, like kind of setting the precedence for it. And I think like you guys probably in your homes get the opportunity to do that, to express that like learning can be uncomfortable and like setting a precedent. And also some things shouldn't be comfortable. Like certain conversations, like it would be weird if they were comfortable, and so it's kind of like it is a sign of growth. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm talking too much.
No, you're not.
Well, actually, how do you guys think you can create a better culture where feedback is given and accepted? Because this whole chapter is about feedback.
I just think like I love how she talked about the technique of providing feedback, because I think people are afraid to provide feedback because it is scary. Like I was a boss of numerous staff just until recently, and it's actually really hard to provide feedback because providing feedback is vulnerable too. Like you're opening yourself up, and a lot of people don't realize that. But I loved how she talked about like even setting the stage for healthy feedback, like never doing it from a place of power, almost like, so like she shared the example from sitting, like having somebody sit across the desk from you, that comes from a place of power. And but coming, like she would come and sit around them almost like at a table, like, and sit side to side, like around a table. And so I think even creating like an atmosphere, it's kind of like when you're talking to a child, or when I would do street outreach, when we would approach somebody that we would see if they needed help. And this is, again, isn't feedback, but it's setting the stage. We would always get on their level. So if they were sitting on the ground, instead of me talking over them, like, can we help you? I would get down, kneel down, or sit on the ground next to them. Mm-hmm. So I think the first stage is, or the first thing would be setting the stage to provide feedback. And then she talks about a million other things that I'm sure we'll get to, but setting the stage is a really great place to start.
Yes. Yes. I liked that David wrote into the email. He said that he's a teacher, and in parent-teacher conferences, he has said, I've also learned, because he said that he does that. He gets on the other side of the table so he can talk to the parents and the kids. And he says, I also learned to bring food and drinks with me, treating your students and their parents as part of your own family, and what a difference that makes. And I thought, I think there's so many ways that we can get on the side of the table. And I think that was one of my favorite things in this section was, like, what ways can we do that for, like, the individual relationships in our lives? And I don't know, I thought that was really cool.
I loved the whole on page, sorry if I'm going too fast, but 204. Mm-hmm. I know I'm ready to give feedback when.
We should read through that list.
It says, I know I'm ready to give feedback when I'm ready to sit next to you rather than across from you. I'm willing to put the problem in front of us rather than between us or sliding it towards you. I'm ready to listen, ask ask questions and accept that I may not fully understand the issue. Like, I love thinking about a boss being like, you know what? I see a problem here, but I might not fully understand the issue. So, like, allow me to get context so then I can manage you or like help you in the right way. You know, I love that. Let's see. I know I'm ready to give feedback when I want to acknowledge what you do well instead of picking apart your mistakes. I recognize your strengths and how you can use them to address your challenges. I can hold you accountable without shaming or blaming you. I'm willing to own my part. I love that too. I can genuinely thank you for your efforts rather than criticize you for your feelings or failings. Or feelings. I can talk about how resolving these challenges will lead you to growth and opportunity, and I can model the vulnerability and openness that I expect to see from you.
Love that. So many
good.
good things. It just shows like so much. It's about humility. It's about not having to be right all the time. And you know, and because it's kind of counterintuitive. Like I think a lot of times when we think of like what you have to be in order to like have respect or like it be taken seriously is to be, you know, show people that like I know what I'm doing and I know what's right. But it's like kind of the exact opposite. It's humility. It's the ability to say, I haven't thought of it that way. Like, let me think about that. Or please explain, you know, like you were saying, Caitlin. I
don't know the answer, but I can find out.
Exactly.
Like, how much would you prefer that than someone BSing something and, oh yeah, this is what it is, and then you got wrong information?
And that to me, it shows so much more confidence in somebody's, like in someone's self when they're confident enough to be like, I actually don't know. Like, but let me find out. Like that shows true confidence, not fake confidence. You know?
And you can trust them.
Yeah. One of my...
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to move on to something else, so...
Go right ahead, because I think you're going where I'm going.
Oh, okay. I liked that there was a quote where, let's see, it's on page 199 at the very bottom. She says, if we... one effective method of understanding our strengths is to examine the relationship between strengths and limitations. If we look at what we do best as what we want to change the most, we often find that there are two varying degrees of the same core behavior. Most of us can go through the majority of our faults or limitations and find strengths lurking within. And we've talked about this before, you know, and vice versa. A lot of times, like, our greatest strengths also manifest themselves in our greatest weaknesses. It's like two sides of the same exact coin. And I thought that was really cool. And then on page 197, she gives, like there was a guy that had a way of dealing with like flaws that actually focused on strengths. And I thought that was really cool. So he says that, let's see, so giving feedback in a way that focuses on people's strengths rather than just focusing on their weakness. And so let's see, the problem is straightforward. Without feedback, there can be no transformation of change. When we don't talk to people we're leading about their strengths and their opportunities for growth, I thought that was really cool. She says, when we don't talk to the people we're leading about their strengths and then their opportunities for growth, instead of calling it weakness, she called it an opportunity for growth.
What?
Oh, there she is.
I was like, where'd she go? Sorry.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Oh, am I going away? Oh.
You were frozen.
Frozen by the fear in me. So, okay. Anyways, she says, when we don't talk to people we're leading about their strengths and their opportunities for growth, they begin to question their contributions. And so I think it's cool that she didn't say strengths and weaknesses. She said strengths and opportunities for growth. And to me, that's like looking at it like, I don't know, a glass half full. It's also, I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? I've been talking a while and freezing.
Just think about how awesome it is. Like if you had a boss that approached you and they sat with you and they were able to give you your feedback by identifying your strengths and then also how they could support you in this growth process, you're going to walk away from thinking, number one, he cares about me or she cares about me because she knows me, like, or he knows me, right? Like, just having somebody being that in tune with your strengths immediately signifies that they care enough to acknowledge it. And two, it comes from a place of building up, not tearing down.
Absolutely.
Like, I think that's so cool because, I mean, I've had situations, like the people that I, again, admire and respect and that mentor me, again, they usually see, like, the good inside of me and, like, the things that I do well. And I respect them enough that, too, when they do say something, I actually listen to what they're saying because I know that they're invested in me and my growth and development. And when you provide feedback in this kind of way by doing it through strengths, it's showing them how much you care and you're invested in their well-being.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you actually listen and you walk away feeling like, I'm going to do better. Like, I want to continue. I want to try. They trust me enough that I can do this versus feeling belittled and small and I can't do anything right or whatever else the thought process might be.
Yeah, you feel empowered. Like somehow they like give you the power to really use your skills and abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got the power.
Yeah.
You know, and I think of it kind of like whenever someone tells you something that you need to work on, you're about to like step into the ring of like, okay, I got to work on this. I got to battle my way through this, you know, issue or whatever it is. So why would you want to beat someone up before you send them in the ring? Like, you'd want to build them up the same way like a coach is like, you got this, like, you know, and yeah, rubbing the shoulders, like in Rocky when he like cuts his eye open so that he can see, like, you know, all those things, but not quite as violent. And anyways, but you know what I mean? It, like, that's what I imagine. It's like, oh, that makes so much sense. Before you send someone into the ring to like fight against whatever issues they need to work on, you tell them what they're good at. You tell them what they're great at so they have the strength to go out there and do it.
But it is true. Like, think about it.
Sorry.
I'm cut out again.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I keep cutting out. I guess my internet today is, like, on the fritz. I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you, Janny.
No, but it's true. It would be so weird if, like, right before you go in the ring, they're like, you suck. And, you know, that would be so bad.
All right, go get him.
Good luck.
You don't have this, but go ahead.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, it's like taking away your swords and stuff. Like, you know, could you imagine them being like, that sword's not actually real. It's fake. Go ahead. You know, like,
Yeah.
you can't
Well, and
take it away or...
what a great coach does, like, they always will tell their athlete, like, this is where they're weak, this is where they're strong, and so they're helping, like, you've got a great right hook, get it, you know, so they tell them what they're good at so they can go in the ring and use that. Like, so yeah, it totally makes sense to like tell people their strengths. And she even talked about the classroom where, do you guys remember that part where they had to give constructive feedback? I thought that was really
hard.
cool. Yeah, in a class. Do you want to talk more about that, Janny?
Well, I was just thinking about it because you would have to be so attentive to what was happening in front of you to be able to provide that type of feedback, honestly. Like, from a place of strength. I was thinking about that. I was thinking, like, even in parenting, I'm like, am I attentive enough where I could even approach a feedback session like that?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a talent. Like, and it takes practice to be able to provide feedback. But if you want to be a good leader, that's going to be essential.
Right.
So anyway, so I guess to just say what happened is she had her students, every single student had to provide feedback from a perspective of strength that they could offer the other student that was presenting. And I actually think that would be very challenging because, like I said, you'd have to be really attentive to what was happening and understand, come from a place of strength. Because it's pretty easy to actually say, well, you could have done better there, you could have done better then, and that.
Oh, shoot.
And
Oh shoot! I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I have an example of my mom.
I'm so sorry. I keep freezing, so I keep losing you guys. But yeah, please go.
I have an example of my mom. Like when I was thinking about how your strengths can also, like your how did she put it again? Opportunities for growth can also be your strengths. Like where she said that quote. Most of us can go through the majority of our faults or limitations and find strengths lurking within. Like my mom, for example, stresses out about everything. Like she stresses so much. Like we'll go over for dinner at her house and like she decorates everything for the holiday. She like makes like this amazing meal, dessert, but she stresses out so much. And a lot of times I'm like, I need to like give her feedback, like, Mom, like just enjoy it more. Just don't have to stress out so much. But she's stressing out because one of her strengths is that she does all this. She gets everybody together. She makes it so special. She makes it so wonderful. And if she didn't care, then she wouldn't stress out. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I just thought of it because I'm like, that her greatest strength. So if I was to give her feedback, I should start off by saying, like, you do the best parties. Like, you're the best meal planner. You make everything so special, and we have so many fun traditions. You know, so I could start off by telling her what her strengths are, because I wouldn't want her to take away from that by saying, you're a nutcase.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought of my mom, and it's just made me really think about that concept of how our strengths, our weaknesses are our strengths. And so we don't want to take away the strength by giving someone criticism. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah,
Good example. Really good example.
for sure. Well, ladies, we have been streaming for 2 hours, and who knows how much longer my internet will hold up.
Oh no. It's hanging on by a thread.
It like literally keeps me like, but anyways, I think we covered all the stuff that I really wanted to cover. So unless there was any last words or any last points that anyone really wanted to talk about,
Do we have a
I just-
challenge? Oh, go ahead, Kate. Lynn.
It just says, just the last little bit. And we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but the doing this, I don't know, giving people this kind of feedback and being this kind of leader is really investing in people rather than like investing in yourself. Well, investing in yourself too, but he says, when you shut down vulnerability, you also shut down opportunity. And so
they're gonna come back.
I really like this chapter because it just, you're investing.
It's true.
I love the gray box on 210, on page 210 and 211, the gray box. I don't know, that might be a challenge. We could have everybody like try to think about those things and openly say those things, or like choose a couple of them that you want to try to remember to say, like, I accept responsibility for that, or I played a part in that. Can you teach me how to do this? I don't know. Sometimes
That's
it's hard
a
for
great
us
idea.
to admit to those things. Yes, I did it.
If you guys don't have the book, you can take a
Screenshot.
screenshot of the book.
Oh, Viv's is good.
Oh, Viv's looks better than mine. So yeah, take a screenshot. I could also post it on my Instagram story, or maybe I know I'll post it in the Discord for book club if you guys didn't get a screenshot. So yeah, that's a great challenge for the week, Whitney, is to like adopt some of these sayings and try to make them part of your vocabulary, because habits is the best way to like be able to react to something. Like, it's really hard in a moment to like choose to react a certain way, but if you kind of make it part of your vernacular, it will start to just happen. So I will post a screenshot on the Discord in the book club tab, Anybody who wants to be a part of the Discord, type in !Discord and a link will pop up. Oh, there it is right there. They're on it. So yes, you can join the Discord. This will be here. Also, anybody that subscribes gets to be a part of a subscribers only section of the Discord, and they can attest that I go in there multiple times a week and I answer all the questions and chat, and I actually really enjoy it. So, yes, so I hope you guys subscribe. Thank you so much for following. Yes, Caitlin?
Next week, chapter 7 and the end. It's the final thoughts is only a couple pages, so this is the end.
Wait, what?
And
This is the last one? We gotta come up with a game plan.
Yeah, we do. Okay, let's talk on Marco. Wow, I'm like super bright. Let's talk on Marco Polo this week. Glowing. Did I not do my spray tan or what? Okay.
I'm scared for next week. Wholehearted parenting. Ugh.
Oh, okay. I will be leaning on you guys and your wisdom for this one. Yeah, so we'll have to make up a game plan. Also, you guys have been suggesting some books for the next book club, so keep putting those in the book club tab, or you can email me if you guys have any thoughts you want to contribute as you read the book. Email me at Sterling's Book Club. Lancy Fish can put that in the chat, but it's Sterling's Book Club at gmail.com. So thanks for being here, everybody. Again, thanks for subscribing and following and all that good stuff. Love you so much, and I love you, ladies. Thanks for...
We love you guys.
Okay, see you next week.
Everyone.
Bye.
Oh, I shouldn't.
Oh
no, sorry.
Last
You're
one.
good.
Where's the button?
Love you
Love
so
you,
much.
girl.
Bye. Bye. My gosh, I'm like really glowing. Okay, well, how do I? What the? Maybe if I stop glowing. Okay. Anyways, yes, I just wanted to say a last goodbye to you guys. I always feel like I have to make it intimate and personal. I want to just like hang with my peeps for just a second. But yeah, it's been a long stream, so I'll just say bye this time, and maybe next time we'll have time for like a Q&A or something. But love you all. Thanks for being a part of this. Mwah!